YouTube, Ozick, going the Goat House is back with some more NFL record predictions for the upcoming 2022 season. This video for the NFC North teams. We did the AFC North yesterday. We also did AFC and NFC East teams. We'll go through every division. We'll eventually be left with our playoff field. We'll predict the playoffs in the Super Bowl. You guys are doing the same thing on our Twitter. You guys are voting for division winners, and we'll circle back. Basically, guys, we'll kind of create a playoff field, playoff predictions, and a future video there for the fan-voted 2022 season predictions. So check us out there. Like, subscribe to notifications on full NFL coverage here. And again, here's our Twitter. The poll, I just posted this NFC North poll. It's going on. And we'll continue on with this until we have that playoff field. Playoffpredictors.com is the website we're using. You can go game by game and predict every team's record, and then it gives you by itself, gives you like a playoff field. So for these, we go through, give my record prediction, then we circle back and go kind of best case, worst case scenario for these teams. So the Packers is who we'll start with from the NFC North. Packers, interesting because they lost Davante Adams. Maybe some questions with their offensive line. Are they getting healthy? Can they stay healthy? Offensive line didn't seem as strong as it usually is last year, probably because of the injuries. So will they be as good offensively? Will the run game step up for that offense? Defensively, it's looking like a very good defense. Really no holes on that defense, it looks like right now. If you had to nitpick, maybe Savage want to see him take that step up. Maybe you want to get to the quarterback a little bit more. But Gary and Preston Smith did a solid job last year for that pass rush. So defense probably better. Offense, most think they may be a little bit worse, but still a very solid team here. Just can they get over the hump in the playoffs? Week 1, Packers at Vikings. I actually took the Vikings in this one in week 1. It's definitely one that can go either way. I think the new look Vikings, we're so used to the same Vikings team, a different system offensively, and then a different scheme defensively. With the weapons they have, it's just so hard to game plan. There really is no game plan for playing the Vikings in week 1. So that's the reason I went with Minnesota in Minnesota there. But, yeah, one that can go either way. But we'll see. I think the Packers defense maybe could slow down that Vikings offense. But, yeah, interesting. The one game Cousins did play last year. It was a shootout type of game. And then, of course, the next time they played ended up being Sean Mannion. So can't have too many takeaways from that one. But then Bears at Packers. I'm definitely going the Packers at Sunday Night Football. Definitely going to the Packers on that one. Packers at Bucks. Brady versus Rodgers. Early season. I like the Bucks at home in that one. I think that'd be the difference there. If it was in Green Bay, maybe them. Again, I like this Packers defense for this year. I think Tom Brady finds ways to score on that defense still. And the Packers offense, kind of up and down, kind of have those random games like the 49ers playoff game where they just can't do much. They don't have Davante Adams in there. So is that a game where, can they keep up with the Bucs offense? Patriots, Packers, I'll take the Packers in that one. Yeah, that's one of those games where the Packers defense really probably can limit that Patriots offense. It's a London game. I like the Packers against the Giants. The Jets, Jets seem like that trap game for everyone. I think that's a sneaky team. This is fresh off a London game without a bye. So the Jets could win that game. I just think the Packers defense is going to give problems to a young quarterback and Zach Wilson. I'm still going to take the Packers, but that could be that trap game there. We're going with all the home teams so far. Did the Commanders video. I just had that gut feeling, and I gave the Commanders a win against the Packers. I do like the matchup. I like the way their defense matches up against the Packers offense. I think they can really limit them, get a solid pass rush going, and I think they do just enough there. Them being home kind of helps a little bit too. So, I think the Packers kind of have those games pop up like the 49ers playoff game where they just can't really consistently move the ball. That's kind of what I worry about. So I think it's a defensive game here. I'm going to take the Commanders. Packers at Bills. I did this one in the AFC East video. I actually went with the Packers in this one. Maybe they'll be underdogs in this one, so maybe a little bit of an upset. I think a defensive game. I think two solid defenses. I'm really high on the Packers defense this year. I actually think they can kind of limit a great Bills offense. I think it's just kind of a game where the Packers rush offense kind of really gets going. I think they can have a solid day between Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon in a game like this. So they pulled that one off. Got them beating the Lions. The Lions are heading on the right path. Still could struggle to kind of beat these teams here in the division. I got the Packers beating the Cowboys. I like the matchup for them, especially at home. And then the Titans-Packers, it's Thursday night in Green Bay. I think both teams are going to try to run the ball in this game. Two solid defense will be a really good game. I think it's so even. I actually compared the Titans and the Packers to each other in many different ways last year. So this is a really good matchup. The home team, Thursday Night Football, I'll roll with them. Packers, Eagles. I like the Packers. I like the way they match up against the Eagles in that one. Eagles will kind of rely on the run a little bit, which maybe, you can run a little bit on the Packers, but I like this defense. And they really limit that Philadelphia offense there. I got the Packers beating the Bears twice. Then they got the bye week, Rams versus Packers. Yeah, I'm going to take the Rams in that one. Is that going to be – it's Monday night in Green Bay, though, but is that going to be – it's tough. Is that going to be like a shootout? Again, I think the Packers might be more of a defensive team this year. The Rams probably still find ways, especially at this time of the year, Week 15, to score on a very solid defense. Can the Packers keep up? Missing, like a Devonta Adams. Is this where they miss him? Packers at Dolphins. Yeah, this is one I was really 50-50 on. I do like the way the Dolphins match up against the Packers, especially in Miami. It's another one of those where, they got a great cornerback duo. They got a great secondary in general. This is a game that can show, it would maybe be obvious that they're missing Devonta Adams there, and the Dolphins have a very solid blitz defense. Offensively, I still some questions with Tua. I think Mike McDaniel kind of get creative. They run the ball here and kind of get creative, get Tyreek Hill the ball in space. I like the way the Dolphins match up at home here. Then don't think the Vikings beat the Packers twice. So the Packers there. And then the Packers against the Lions as well. So we're left at 12-5 here. So our solid season for the Green Bay Packers. And kind of circling back to best case. One I was really 50-50 on was this Packers-Dolphins. The Packers are the better team overall. I like the way the Dolphins match up. And then we can kind of almost switch all of these. They're not going to go undefeated, though. I say Washington. I'd say, they could 2-0 the Vikings. But then again, we switch the Washington one. We have them beating the Bills, remember. So we can't just go best case for every single one. It wouldn't really be realistic here. So I'm thinking like 14-3. In some form, 14-3 is best case, and we had 12. We had 12 wins there as the prediction. Worst case, I don't see the worst case dropping that much. Could the offense struggle? Could so maybe I think, but so that could struggle them more than we think without Devonta Adams. So could that drop them down? But how much? Bills maybe. I say between the Lions and the Bears in worst case, I think one of them gets either one gets a win there. Some tough games. Cowboys, Titans. I think that out of those two, if I were to flip one for the worst case, price to the Titans, and we're down to 9-8. I just don't see 9-8 for the Packers, but you kind of get an idea what the very worst case scenario is. I'm really thinking that 10-13 range for the Packers there. 10-13 feels good. My prediction was 12 wins, so there you have it. To the Vikings. Vikings going to be interesting because we know they have the talent, but they kind of just choked a bunch of games last year in the closing minutes. But now they get a new coaching staff. We'll see a little bit more 11 personnel on offense, maybe air the ball out more. I keep hearing that they're going to throw the ball to Dalvin Cook a little bit more. They have a collection of running backs. Defensively, they may have the best pass rush duo in football. It's Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter now. Can they stay healthy? Switching to a 3-4 defense as well. So it's big reasons why I like the Vikings early season, because they're going to be insanely tough to game plan for because you just don't know what to expect. There's really no film to go off of. But then do they have the talent to actually execute? I think they do. So I think the Vikings will be tough, these first, before you can watch the film and be able to game plan, which it doesn't take too long, about 3 weeks. Vikings, I had them beating the Packers for those reasons. 51-49 game to me, though. Then Vikings-Eagles, which is tough because it's Monday in Philly. And the Eagles could run pretty well on them, but I think the Vikings would be so tough early on to deal with. How do you game plan for this? And then they have success through the air against the Philadelphia Eagles. That'd probably be a very, very good game. I like that it's in Philly. If it was in Minnesota, I'd be extremely confident with the Vikings in that game. So makes it pretty interesting. I got the Vikings, so I got them starting 3-0, beating the Lions there. Then, maybe a little bit more of the game plan comes out. They're still a tough team, talented team. But then you go to the London game. Remember, that one's in London against the Saints. I think a 50-50 game, but I like the Saints in that one. You give the Vikings their first loss. Maybe a little bit more prepared going over to London. The Vikings got talent offensively, and they were productive last year, but those kind of those random matchups where they just cannot do anything offensively. That might be one of those. That Saints defense there. A pretty good game, though. I think Kamara probably has a day as well. I like the Saints in that matchup. So then fresh off London, no bye week there. They play the Bears. Bears could struggle this year, but they also could get one of the Vikings. Those Bears-Vikings games seem to be pretty tough. I'm actually going to go with the Bears away in Minnesota in this one. So a little bit they're definitely the underdog. But fresh off the London game, I think the Bears can get one on them. Even though, again, they could struggle this year. They probably will. But they get one there. Vikings-Dolphins. This was one that was really tough when I was doing the Dolphins video. It seemed like, the Dolphins were a blitzing team. It seemed like the Vikings played better against those types of teams last year. But Dolphins got that strong secondary, maybe the best blitz team in football. And I think the Vikings defense can limit Tua as well. I think it's a defensive game. I think teams look towards the running game in a game like this, and I'm going to trust that Vikings running game a little bit more. So we'll go with the Vikings. Then they got the bye week, which is kind of needed because they went to London and they played 2 more after that. So pretty needed there at 7. Cardinals-Vikings was a entertaining game last year between the two, very high scoring. I feel like the Vikings got better this year. I think the Cardinals maybe a little bit worse. But, Murray could develop. Some other young guys develop. They get DeAndre Hopkins back in this game. So this is one that can go either way. I think this is probably another shootout. The Vikings choked it last year. I think they hang on this year. That's another 50-50 one, though. Vikings and Commanders. This was another 50-50 one. I was going back and forth in the Commanders video, or the NFC East video. I can see Kirk kind of struggling against his old team. There's really no logic behind that. Kind of just feel it a little bit, but I think the Vikings kind of create turnovers on Carson Wentz as well. Another one of those where might be a defensive game. They might turn to the running game. Both these teams, both very good running games. I kind of lean with the Dalvin Cook running game and the Vikings there. Vikings-Bills, I like the Bills in that matchup all day. Not just because the Bills are better, but I think Josh Allen gives that defense a lot of problems. Kind of a new type defense too. Cowboys-Vikings. I love the matchup for the Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys in that one. I think the Cowboys will have success offensively against the Vikings defense, and I think the Cowboys have that tough defense to present. Yeah, they have that. They kind of present some pre-snap problems for a guy like Kirk Cousins, and we saw it last year. I think the Cowboys are kind of just built to be a matchup problem for a team like the Vikings. They're not purposely built for the Vikings, but I think they're just kind of everything about the Cowboys is a tough matchup for the Vikings. Patriots-Vikings, this is a Thanksgiving night game. I don't see the Vikings losing 3 straight here at home against the Patriots, and they get the job done. Jets-Vikings. I gave the Jets the win in this one in the Jets video. It's just kind of one of those gut feelings here, so I'm going to stick to it. Got to have some of those gut underdog picks. Go with the Jets. I think Robert Saleh's defense could maybe slow down the Vikings offense, and then maybe the Jets do just enough offensively. Vikings-Lions. Yeah, this is tough. The Lions got one on them last year, a major choke job by the Vikings. The Lions probably got better. A lot of young talent, though. The Vikings got better as well. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings with both of these here. I think they kind of have them outmatched. Don't think they choke a game that as bad as they did last year. Colts-Vikings. I like the way the Colts defense is built to play against Kirk Cousins offense. I also think Jonathan Taylor can have a game in this one. So give me the Colts. Some of these matchups with the Vikings, I'm very confident they're going to like the Cowboys, the Colts, the Bills, like maybe the Saints. Those are tough matchups for them. Colts, I'm pretty confident. I don't know why. I'm kind of confident the Colts will win that game, even though it's away. Giants-Vikings. Give me the Vikings. And I had an upset with the Bears away beating the Vikings. I don't think the Bears beat them twice. So go with the Vikings here. 10-7. Okay, I wasn't even sure what I was going to end up with there. I thought it was 9 or 10 wins there. So 10-7 for the Vikings. So we see some improvement, able to hang on to games at the end there, maybe. But yeah, there was a lot of ones that were kind of 50-50. I mean, look at, well, you can go best case. I mean, I think, I'm winning starting 3-0 is kind of best case already. We'll keep the Saints. We can switch to, beating the Bears maybe twice. Remember, I have them beating the Dolphins. I have them beating the Cardinals. Have them beating the Commanders. I think we can switch the Jets one. Best case, 12-5. 12-5, best case. I don't want to switch too many of these. I'm not really confident with them against the Colts or the Bills, teams like that. They could beat the Cowboys, but then we can switch another one, So in some form, 12 wins is probably best case for the Vikings, so back to 10. And worst case, I mean, between the first two games, they could start 0-2. I really think they'll be tough early on. You see the teams that are just randomly very good early on. There's a pattern we're seeing, so I think they'll be very good early on. But worst case, they definitely lose. Definitely could lose one of these. I'd say the Eagles won. They're more likely losing the Packers one, but they could lose both. It's very possible. And then we could switch. Yeah, worst case probably could be pretty bad. I think between these three, Dolphins, Cardinals, Commanders, we can switch two of them. Cardinals and Dolphins maybe. Then we're dropping down to I did have them losing the Bills. I had them losing the Jets. So keep in mind I had them losing some of these games that maybe they'll be favored in. I don't see them only winning 7 games, but you could tell. As you could tell, it's somewhat possible here. So we had them at 10 wins. We had the max at 12. I'd kind of I'd actually make the range like 8-11. We'll tighten it up a little bit there. I'd expect them to finish. We're in that range of 8 wins to 11 wins. I'm pretty confident that they'll finish actually in the 9 or 10. I'll say that. It's going to be 9 or 10 for the Vikings. That's really what it feels like for them. But I had them at 10 wins there. So yeah, a lot of tough games in here. A lot of tough stretch. Some tough matchups there for the Vikings. Be interesting to see how they do with that new coaching staff. To the Bears, we have the Bears sitting at 1-3 already. Bears going to be tough. I don't think they really built the team to win this year, which is okay. I wish they got Justin Fields a little more help, offensive line and receivers. But I think they're going to run. There'll be a run-first team. You see them add a fullback this year. They know they didn't really build around Justin Fields fully yet. They're kind of taking their time with that. They know this. They're very much aware of what they're doing. So I don't think they want to have him drop back 30 to 40 times a game. I think they're going to run the ball quite a bit. They have a number of running backs. Defensively, they lost Khalil Mack. They kind of missed him last year anyways. Robert Quinn had a career year. They're switching schemes, though, so how will Roquan Smith still play at that Pro Bowl level, whether he made the Pro Bowl or not? Kind of a lot of linebackers kind of playing at that level. So it's switching it up a little bit. They added secondary within the draft. The defense might be better than people think. It's not going to be great like a few years ago. Was that 4 years ago? 3-4 years ago? But I think people see they don't have Mack, so the defense can be bad, and they don't have Hicks either. The interior defensive line could struggle a little bit, but I guess it's a big question is how they adjust to the scheme change. But I think maybe the defense will be a little bit better than the way people are talking. But offensively, I definitely think they'll struggle because, again, I think they'll be a run-first team, but will they be able to do that super effectively here? So it could be a down year for the Bears, but that's really okay. Niners, Bears, week 1. Will it be Trey Lance? Will it be Garoppolo? I think the Bears rather play Garoppolo because you know what to expect. It doesn't sound like it's going to be Garoppolo either, but because you know what to expect. It's a very tough game plan against Trey Lance. I think they'll run the ball a lot, read option, things like that, which we normally don't expect from the 49ers. And I think the 49ers are just a better team. I think that defense will get pressure. They'll stop the run first. It's what they do. They stop the run early downs, and they'll get pressure on the obvious. They'll create obvious passes. Now, the more I'm talking about, the more I really like the 49ers in the matchup. Obviously the better team, but matchup reasons. Had them losing to the Packers in week 2, Texans, Bears. Some of these I think the Bears are in that category with the Texans, the Giants, the Lions, the Falcons. They play all these teams too. 50-50 game. We'll take the Bears at home. I don't really see a matchup hole or anywhere. I think that's just a 50-50 game. I take the Bears at home there. This is who shows up on that day. Bears and Giants. I do think the Giants slightly improved, so maybe they're out of that category at the bottom of the league. This is going to be a defensive game for sure. Defensive game. But I think Brian Daboll having his system in there, I think the Giants find a way to do just enough offensively. Yeah, I had the Bears upsetting the Vikings. This is a little bold because it's in Minnesota. But it's fresh off the London week for the Vikings, so that's kind of was my thinking there. And the Bears get one on them anyways, possibly. Commanders and Bears, Thursday Night Football in Chicago. I think that Commanders pass rush should be really good this year. They could, the lack of offensive line for the Bears, they could cause some problems. Bears could get going the run game against them, though. Maybe they create turnovers to Carson Wentz. I just like the Commanders pass rush prime time against the Bears here, but against that Bears offensive line. Bears and Patriots Monday Night Football. Mac Jones versus Justin Fields. I think the difference in offensive lines is for those two young quarterbacks is obvious. It's close to kind of an even matchup wise, and they're going to be run first teams. I think the defense might be a little better on both teams than expected. Patriots at home, they got the protection for Mac Jones and for the run blocking a little bit more Monday night in New England. So I think the Patriots there. Bears, Cowboys. Can the Bears keep up with the Cowboys offense? It could be a tough year for the Bears here. Dolphins and Bears. I really like the Dolphins in that matchup. The Dolphins are gonna all-out blitz. They make young quarterbacks struggle because they're the best blitzing team in football. At least they were last year. I'd say the Bucs were probably 2 years ago, or the Ravens. They just create problems for these young quarterbacks. Bears would have to start off running the football and have success there, which they could. The Dolphins win with their defense in this one. Bears, Lions. I'm gonna have them split here. We'll take the Bears at home, and then between the Falcons. Bears, Falcons, and Bears, Jets. A lot of these are just coin flip games here. I think a lot of these teams are. We'll take the Bears against the Falcons. It's a pretty even matchup. I like the Bears kind of getting the ball downfield a little bit more. Fields getting the ball downfield. Maybe this is where Fields can start to pick it up too. It's going to be a challenge because he doesn't have the best help. But maybe this is where he could pick it up a little bit. So 2 in a row. I don't think that, maybe if it was in Chicago, don't think they win 3 in a row there. Had the Packers beating them in Week 13. The bye. Eagles defense. This is one the Bears could get. I mean, they're going to upset some teams. I had the Vikings. I had they could get this Eagles one. I just like the Eagles defense, and that pass rush should be pretty good. They should blitz a little bit more. And we'll take the Bills against the Bears. I had the Lions and the Bears splitting. We got a low number of wins. 4 wins. 4 wins is my prediction. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if they're good with it. They're obviously not good with it, but the way they built this team, they're more focused on next year. So it's not the end of the world there for Chicago. But, my fellow Chicagoans, is that a word? They're not going to be happy with me here with that one. But kind of going back to best case scenario, or circling back to that, they could beat the Giants here. I did have them beating the Vikings, keep in mind. Between the Thursday night at home, they can win that, but then we won't get carried away here. Could beat the Jets. The Eagles one, they could maybe give them a little bit. 8 wins? I think that's realistic. Get up to 8 wins here. In a different fashion, they could beat the Lions here, but remember I had them winning a lot, switched a lot of these here. For best case, worst case scenario, let's kind of go back to what I had. Worst case, can you get much worse than 4 wins? I had them, they could lose the Vikings here. So that's 3. I think they'll split with the Lions. Had them beating the Falcons. And it's hard to predict a team under 3 wins, but I guess it's possible. Maybe 2 is the very worst, but kind of got that Really thinking that 3, if I had to narrow it down a little bit, the 3 to 7 range, which is kind of a bigger range compared to other teams. 3 to 7 range for their win total there. To the Lions. Lions are interesting. Do I have this correct? I had them losing the Packers and the Vikings twice, which they could get one of those. I had to split with the Bears. So we're already starting at 1-5. That's not great, but Lions are interesting because I love the way they're drafting. I love what Brad Holmes is doing. I think they had a top-tier draft these last 2 years, the 2 years that Brad Holmes drafted. Give the rest of the coaching the coaching staff in general, Dan Campbell, some credit as well, because they can evaluate talent. They're bringing in the right guys, in my opinion. So the Lions are definitely on the right path. I really like some of these young players they're bringing in, and I believe it starts with the draft. You build a championship team through the draft, even if it takes time. That's kind of Lions' path there. So promise for the future for sure, but it doesn't really happen overnight. That's kind of my problem. A lot of young guys. That team is most of the starters are just very, very young guys. You got Jared Goff's the starting quarterback. Can he pick it up with a better receiver unit? Sure, but by how much? Something that I question a little bit that isn't really talked about enough. I talked about it during the year last year, and I like Dan Campbell a lot. Very likable guy. And he definitely can figure it out. But there was some big-time coaching errors that lost games for them last year during the year. Multiple of them, actually. And I questioned it at the time, and there was a herd of Lions fans that kind of got on me about it. It's not Campbell's fault. They have the worst roster in football. A load of those fans were saying, I don't know if they were Lions fans, just people in general, perhaps. I think most probably Lions fans. But those people, they said they had the worst roster in football. Does that change this year that much? They can step up a little bit, still young players. So those people are probably predicting them to have a bad year as well. But I think late game coaching needs to be a little bit better. So it's not really getting talked about enough, but I think eyes for me are on progression, and then Dan Campbell, we have some more developing there, improving there. But maybe could have another down year, but then next year is that time where it's like, all right, I need to see what the Lions got now. It feels like every year since the beginning of time, like, all right, the Lions, this is the year. They're on the right path. So it's tough. I had the Eagles winning in week 1. Some of these games are winnable, but I had the Commanders in week 2, so they start 0-3. I like them over the Seahawks. I had the Patriots. A lot of these games I already predicted, I think. I had the Cowboys. I had the Dolphins beating the Lions. I think the blitz of that Dolphins, same with the Patriots, similar defense. Kind of gives Goff problems there. But the Lions do have a very solid offensive line, but this is kind of a different type of defense you got to deal with there. That's a rough start, though. Do I really see them starting that rough? It's tough. I think they could beat the Giants here. Very low-scoring defensive game. It's one that can go either way as well. Had the Bills, Lions versus the Jags. I really like Trevor Lawrence for this year. I think he really get going week 13. They can have a day against the Lions defense. Can the Lions do enough offensively? I'll take the Jags in that one. Jets and Lions. I like the Jets. I think the Jets would be sneaky there. Then I'll take the Lions over the Panthers. It's kind of that time of the year where what's going on. We don't know who the Panthers quarterback's going to be here, but the Panthers might have a better roster to win today. It's just what's going to be going on week 16, something similar to last year. So same record as the Bears. So another down year for the Lions, but I think they might have a bigger range. I think that, some of these games, best case scenario, they can win one of these first 2 games against the NFC East opponents. Could get one against the Vikings. We're kind of going down here. Could get the Jags game. I had them beating the Panthers, but it could get the Jets game as well. So they're kind of in the same situation as the Bears. I feel like I like the Lions. I definitely like the Lions roster better than the Bears, the way I look at it, because I'm kind of also factoring in future a little bit. But the Bears might be more like pro ready, if you know what I mean, like more ready right away. But they're pretty much in that same boat where I can see them winning 4 games. I can see them winning 8 games. I don't really want to drop the worst case scenario any lower than. I just don't see it. And they did struggle to win games last year. Those games where I thought, all right, this is the week they're going to pull it out, and they get their ass beat, So I don't think it's going to change a whole lot overnight, even though I think they are doing things right there. I really love the way they're drafting. It's just you got to develop them, and hopefully correctly too, because they got to make some better decision with their coaching. Remember that Bears Thanksgiving game? There was on both offense and defense. There was some very, very poor coaching in that game. It was some of the worst I've seen. So as likable as that staff is, they actually have to improve and make better decisions, and that'll help the development of some of these young players. They're great players. If they don't turn out great, I'm going to blame the staff, because I think Brad Holmes has done an excellent job evaluating talent and bringing in the right players. So we just can't expect it to happen overnight here. So yeah, could the Lions pull out 8 wins, be a little sneaky? I guess it starts with I think it starts with making correct choices with on the coaching staff, and then Goff, maybe him making correct choices as well. They have the offensive line. They got a better pass rush. They got better in general. The quarterback play picks up, which the receiver unit did. Those are kind of the keys to being maybe somewhat of a successful team. So maybe they could be a little bit sneaky. The more I talk about it, the more I kind of think, it's possible. Not that I'm predicting it. So I'm definitely excited about the Lions' future, though. Definitely, they're definitely heading in the right direction there for the future. So I'm very excited for that team. But yeah, that wraps up. So we had the Packers winning the division, and the Vikings and the Lions and the Bears tying there. Packers 12 wins, Vikings 10 wins. A lot of people tell me they think the Vikings are winning the division. I still got the Packers doing it, though. But yeah, could the Vikings be a sneaky playoff team? Perhaps. But that wraps up the NFC North record predictions. We got 4 of these videos out already, 4 more to go. We'll eventually get to playoff predictions and more, Super Bowl predictions, all of that. You guys are kind of doing the same thing, making your predictions on our Twitter, so check that out. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on me. Much appreciated. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.